Welcome to the Kony One Studio Intro Tutorial Series. This is the Services Definition and Event Handling tutorial. In this module, we will cover defining a web service using the Service Definition Editor, use the web service to populate the results screen using graphical tools and Lua code, populate a map widget using a Lua table, map the web service data from one form to the next, and use the Kony One API to make a call on the device. We are going to demonstrate defining a data service for our search results screen. Under the Services folder of the project, there are several types of services we can configure. To create an XML service, right-click on XML and choose XML Services to bring up the Service Definition Editor. Right-click on the Services folder and choose Add Service. Name the service Hospitals and press Finish. Within the Kony One Studio environment, you can double-click on any tab to maximize its display. So now that the Service Definition Editor is maximized, we can get a better view into all the capabilities and features of the editor. Since you are creating an XML service, you need to type in the URL to the data you are interested in retrieving. Now, without changing any other settings in the editor, you can click on Get Response to test the URL. Selecting the Response tab below, you can see that the URL is working and that a lot of data was returned. Certain types of services might take header values or input values, but for this service, you want to modify the formatting of the output parameters to filter and format the data for use by the application. Using standard XPath, you can define how you want to retrieve the service data, starting with the root node of the XML returned. This can be entered as /providers or period to indicate the root XPath of the returned data. The scope of the output parameter is response. So now you can continue to create the data you are interested in for this hospital location service. The name, address, city, state, zip, phone, latitude, and longitude are all pieces of data you want to display on the results page of the application, and ideally you want to create a collection so that you can iterate over the values when accessing the data from the application, so you can format the data to be in the providers collection. Now you can test the formatting of the output parameters by clicking on the Results tab. You can see the collection of data named Providers and all of the data under each record of the collection. Now you can double-click on the Service Definition Editor tab to restore the size of the editor. You need to save your changes by clicking on the Save button. And then click on the Generate Service Definition button to create the file needed to publish the definition to the Kony One server, where this service will run. By right-clicking on the project folder, you can now choose to publish the services to the Kony One server. You will press Finish and enter the username and password for the Kony Server admin console and publish the service. Now the service definition is complete and it has been published to the Kony One server. Now, of course, you want to hook that data up to the application. In the last example, we had created the search results form, so double-click that form to bring it up in the editor. There is a segment widget, a map widget, a list button, and a map button. The first thing you need to do is select the form. You can either select the form by clicking on an open area of the form or in the outline view. In the Properties window, you can see events which are form-level events. You will choose the Master Data Load event, which will bring up the event editor. By right-clicking on the action sequence, you can invoke a service asynchronously, which will add it to the sequence. Select the service you just created named Hospitals. Because it's an asynchronous service call, the data will be returned in a callback. So you right-click on the callback sequence, and you can choose what to do next in the sequence. In this case, you want to select Add a Mapping. Now you can click on the Mapping Editor button. On the left, you see the Hospital's service and the Providers collection. On the right-hand side, you see the Search Results form and the Segment widget, which is where you want to map the service data. You can map this data graphically by selecting the provider's collection and then clicking on the segment collection. Once the collections are mapped, you can select data from the service call and map them to elements in the segment widget: name, address, and city. You can use the latitude and longitude later for the map component, so we can show that a bit later in the video. The key takeaway here is that you have mapped the service data to the segment widget without having to write a line of code. Press Finish and OK. Now you can build the application so that you can run it in the Android emulator to verify that what you've just done works as expected. Here is the application in the Android emulator. By clicking on the Find Pharmacy button, the service call returns the list of hospitals, and we can scroll through to make sure that the data is as expected. Now we notice that nothing happens when the hospitals are clicked in the segment, and so you will want to hook an event up to handle this as well. Select the form again, and let's review the event editor. You saw how we can map the form event to invoke the service and map the data graphically. So now let's delete those sequences to show how the same thing can be done in code. After deleting the sequence, you can take a look at some Lua code under the project folder named Modules and double-clicking the modhospitals.lua file. Here is how the service can be invoked in Lua code. You can see the small amount of code needed, starting the name of the service, Hospitals. You can see the segment data map, which describes the elements you added to the widget and how they correspond to data from the service. You can also see the correlation between the UI elements and the data the service will return. You will get the results in Hospitals. Then you will walk through the provider's collection. There is a global Lua table which will store the results, and then a local Lua table for each iteration through the collection, which will be added to the global table named Search Results. You notice that there is a little function named format number in the loop, and this is because the service returns the phone number as numbers only, and you probably want to format the number for proper phone number display in the application. There is a function below which will parse the number from the service data with the appropriate parentheses and dashes to return a nicely formatted phone number for us in the UI. You will insert the local table into the search results table, and then set that as the data for use in the segment widget of the search results form. Now you can go back to the search results form in the editor, and now for the form level event, you can map the master data load form event, and this time, instead of invoking a service, you can map it to the function named load hospitals. You notice that in the event editor, you can actually take a look at the function if you'd like. Now you can click OK and go back to the form. Now to handle the button click event when the user taps on the Map button. Select the Map button and click on the OnClick event to map it to a function which is named ShowMap. And click OK. We have a function named MapPoints, which you will use to pass data to the map widget. This function sets up a MapPoints table, which you will fill with data in the global search results, which we have already filled with data from the hospital service. The function will iterate through the service data and create a Lua table, which you can then use to set the location data for the map widget. So now in the function to toggle the display of the results to ShowMap, you will make sure that you can call the setMapPoints function here to show the locations on the map if it is shown to the user. You can map the event to a function named call and then click on the function tab where you can see the function written for this event. You notice that the function adds a 1 in front of the number, since it is a long distance number in this example, and then calls the Kony API phone.dial to leverage the native phone features on the mobile device. Click OK. Now you can click on Save All. And now you can build the application to be able to test your work so far and see how it all works. Launch the emulator. Click on Find a Pharmacy. The search results are shown. All of the data has been returned, and the format phone number function is working as expected. When the user taps on the segment, the result details form is shown and all of the data is there as expected. And when the user taps on the button which has the phone number, the Kony API will leverage the native functionality to dial the phone number. And if the user goes back to the search results page and now toggles the display from list to map, the map points are plotted in the map widget and we can see the number of hospitals in that geographic area. And tapping on the push pins in the map will show the user the information about the hospitals which was added to the map widget. Now the user can go back to the home page and choose other functionality in your application. We have successfully built a 3-form app. In the next tutorial, we will learn how to call and map a web service, use the web service to populate the results screen, populate a map widget using a Lua table, map the hospital information from one form to the next, and use the Kony One API to make a call on the device. This concludes the Services Definition and Event Handling tutorial. For additional information on service definition, event handling, and other tutorials, please visit developer.kony.com.